If you don't keep a close eye on new developments in physics, you've probably still heard of the renowned physicist Stephen Hawking. He prided himself on making his complex scientific concepts accessible to the public and wrote the bestseller A Brief History of Time. You may have also seen him brandishing his cool wit during guest appearances on Late Night with Conan O'Brien, The Simpsons, or Star Trek. Even if you are familiar with his academic work, there are many interesting facts you might not know about Professor Stephen Hawking, stretching from his time at University College and the gradual development of his disability to his thoughts on quantum theory and theoretical physics. There are many interesting facts about Stephen's life. Received mediocre grades in school. These days we know Hawking as a brilliant mind whose theories are difficult for a non-scientific mind to grasp. This is why it may come as a shock to learn that Hawking was a slacker when he attended St. Albans School. In fact, when he was 9 years old, his grades ranked among the worst in his class. With a little more effort, he brought those grades up to about average, but not much better. Nevertheless, in his early life, he was known to disassemble clocks and radios. However, he admitted he wasn't very good at putting them back together so they could work again. Despite his poor grades, both his teachers and his peers seemed to understand that they had a future genius among them, evidenced by the fact that his nickname was Einstein. The problem with Stephen's mediocre grades was that his father, Frank Hawking, wanted to send him to Oxford. Unfortunately, the Hawking family didn't have the money without a scholarship. Luckily, when it came time for the scholarship exams, Stephen aced them, getting a near-perfect score on the physics exam. Had an aversion to biology. Stephen Hawking took a liking to mathematics from an early age, and he would have liked to have majored in it. However, his father had different ideas and hoped Stephen would study medicine. But for all his interest in science, Stephen didn't care for biology. Later, Hawking spoke about finding it too inexact, too descriptive. He would have rather devoted his mind to more precise, well-defined concepts. One problem, however, was that Oxford didn't have mathematics as a major. The compromise was that Stephen would attend the university's Trinity Hall and major in physics. Even within physics, he focused on the bigger questions. When faced with deciding between the two tracks of particle physics, which studies the behavior of subatomic particles, versus cosmology, which studies the large universe as a whole, he chose the latter. Hawking made this choice despite the fact that, at that time, he says cosmology was hardly recognized as a legitimate field. In explaining why, he said that particle physics seemed like botany. There were all these particles, but no theory. Helped create the boundless universe theory. In 2004, the genius Hawking admitted he had been wrong, and conceded a bet he made in 1997 with a fellow scientist about black holes. To understand the bet, let's backpedal a little to understand what black holes are in the first place. Stars are gigantic, and since they have so much mass, their gravity is always incredibly strong. This is fine, as long as the star continues to burn its nuclear fuel, exerting this energy outward, thus counteracting gravity. However, once a massive star dies or burns out, gravity becomes the stronger force and causes that big star to collapse on itself. This creates what scientists call a black hole. Gravity is so powerful in this collapse that not even light can escape. However, Hawking proposed in 1975 that black holes are not really black. Rather, they radiate energy, but he said at the time information is lost in the black hole that eventually evaporates. The problem was, this idea that information is lost conflicted with the rules of quantum mechanics, creating what Hawking called an information paradox. American theoretical physicist John Preskill disagreed with this conclusion that information is lost in a black hole. In 1997, he made a bet with Hawking, saying that information can escape from them, thus not breaking the laws of quantum mechanics, which Stephen lost. While giving a lecture at a scientific conference in 2004, he said that because black holes have more than one topology, and when one measures all the information released from all topologies, information isn't lost. Was a children's book author. Perhaps one of the most unexpected facets of Stephen Hawking's resume is that of being a children's book author. In 2007, Stephen and his daughter Lucy Hawking collaborated to write George's Secret Key to the Universe. The book is a fictional story about a young boy, George, who rebels against his parents' aversion to technology. He begins to befriend neighbors, one of whom is a physicist with a computer. This turns out to be the most powerful computer in the world, which offers portals to see and enter into outer space. Of course, much of the book is meant to explain heavy scientific concepts, such as black holes and the origin of life to children. In this context, it is very fitting that Hawking, who always sought to make his work more accessible, would want to write such a book. The book was written to be the first of a series that would continue George's adventures. The next one in the series came out in 2009 and is called George's Cosmic Treasure Hunt. Believed in possibility of aliens. Considering all of Hawking's work in cosmology, people are understandably interested in his opinions on the possibility of alien life. During NASA's 50th anniversary celebration in 2008, Hawking was invited to speak. He expressed that, given the vastness of the universe, there very well could be primitive alien life out there, and it is possible other intelligent life. Hawking said, "Primitive life is very common, and intelligent life is very rare." Of course, he threw in his characteristically sharp humor to say, "Some would say it has yet to occur on Earth." He went on to say that humans should be wary of exposure to aliens because alien life will probably not be DNA-based, and we would not have resistance to diseases. Hawking also did an episode on the possibility of aliens for Into the Universe with Stephen Hawking on the Discovery Channel. In this episode, he explains that aliens might use up their own planet's resources and become nomads, looking to conquer and colonize whatever planets they could reach. Or they could set up a mirror system to focus all the energy of the sun in one area, creating a wormhole, a hole to travel through space-time.